shining on our eyes. Bankers dance on the broken dreams, but in our hearts we spark the flames. Freedom calls out from the dark. You will ignite, we'll leave a mark. Big O, little Sita, take the lead. We're fighting for every heart that bleeds. No longer shackled by their chains. Youth is our armor, courage remains. Behind the curtain lies their snare. United we will break their glare. Together we light up the night. In this fight we find our might. Bankers dance on the broken dreams, but in our hearts we spark the flames. In every heart let hope take flight. Eternal vigilance is alright.
Stand up and shout for those you wanna free. Stand up for the one and only yourself. Nigga, 'cause who fucking speaks up for you? Nobody. There's no one else who can pull you through. So shout. And that's Stiff Little Fingers. How true. I mean, he is literally saying stand up and shout for yourself, for your own individual fucking self, or you'll never be free. You will never be free. Because no one, I mean, it's amazing that these lyrics exist, you know, that there's no one else that can set you free, you know. Stand up for the one and only you, yourself. You know, we're going to keep saying it even though people can't really hear it. But we're going to keep saying it and trying to explain it. It makes sense. You know, first of all, brothers and sisters, remember your true self. Recover your true, real sexual power. And return Om, which is really Mo backwards, Maria Orsic. And Missouri really is Miss Yoria. And she wants me to say, that is Miss who drinks her own urine. One time Maria jokingly said to me, I said, Mother, I was just joking, so I wouldn't say mother, but I was, Mother, I said, you are my best friend. And she said, well, would you drink my Amanita muscaria urine? I said, of course, Mother. She said, now we know we're friends. Not just relatives. I said, that's right. Because, you know, it's, see, there's that Kafka quote, you know, there's a certain point you must reach. When you reach that point, you know, there's no turning back. It's not a choice. I literally, in my own life, you know, this took 13 years. Well, really, I recorded the first 3 podcasts in 2020. But I didn't, I guess, release them on the internet till 2022 or 3. I don't know. So, that would be, before I really started doing this, 12 years and 50 times 12. Really, I'm sure I did more like 52, 53. I only miss a couple weeks each year. I mean, why would I miss the funnest thing and the funnest lady? Used to only see Maria 3 hours a week. But now, and people are like, you're crazy. invisible friends. But anyone with any, in touch with their true self will know, like, hold it, something's going on right around us. And logically, yeah, ghost and shit. But what's a ghost? A ghost is a person that lived here is dead. Whether there can be like imprints, clones, and blah, 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 I'm sure it's that complicated, but it all reduces back to actual people. Like I asked Maria today, what you know about Hathor? And she said, you mean Hey Thor? And I went, Hey Thor. I go, damn. She said, all goes back to Hyperborea. This is like a phrase of theirs, that it all goes back. It don't take it literal. I've heard many times it all goes back to Egypt. And I said, didn't the first pharaohs and shit come from Ireland? And they were like, well, yeah. I'm like, so it all goes back to Ireland. They're like, yeah. What's their point? What's their point, nigga? Their point is you're in a hologram. And every time you take it literal, you're failing, you're losing. In this way, it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. It's that you don't know where you are. You don't know how you got here. You don't know who you are. You don't, obviously, if you don't know those, you don't know why. How do I know that? I am trying to tell you that I am nobody special. I was a B student. I went to Bible college after a while. And it was so easy, a fucking child could have passed it. And I'm no one special. I have no real special talents. To just say to you, there's no way these things are coincidences. And I'll tell you what I've been told, and explained about them. And this is sort of like a true Maria Orsic history course. How does this shit make sense? First of all, is it a coincidence that this is a woman, a queen? I don't even know really who Hathor so much is. Doesn't she have to do with like the cow or something? And I know I don't even know. I'm not. Maria doesn't want me to take any of this. Like she said, Joe, point fucking blank. Is it possible that if they're telling a story on the pyramid in the pyramid text that's, if it's a story, Joe, first of all, the context is completely up to the author. If it's a story, is this actual literal history? She said, Joe, when you see a guy walking around with an actual hawk's head talking to you, in reality, dumb nigger. I'm not saying that to I'm saying that to myself. She was literally saying that to me, like, don't be a dumb idiot. And I was going to say slave, and I don't mean black, but there were white slaves every day. I am one of them. You tell me. Thor. How famous is goddamn Thor? And you're telling me one of the very top goddesses in Egypt, her name is Hathor? And don't that fucking sound a lot like Heil Thor? Or like she said, or does it sound like he is Thor? He Thor. And then she said, or maybe it's Thor. Thor. Lethal. And I'm like, dude, just teach me, Maria. My point to the listener is, man, relax and just stop trying to figure it out by looking at a goddamn changing illusion. Hey, listen, 100 years from now, you look up the pyramid text will be completely different. You know why? You're in a matrix illusion, holographic illusion, which means the whole world's in your head, which means you're plugged into technology back on Venus. The whole world's in your head. You're just seeing it through this crystal chip that's been put in your brain temporarily on Venus so you could completely have your memory blocked and have the experience of a lifetime, which might be a complete nightmare. And if you don't sympathize with people, you will receive no sympathy, even though it was just a video game. And who is Thor then? And anyone, listen, this is Maria speaking. Anyone that reads the Norse myths and thinks this is literal history is crazy. Is wanting to believe and pretend. The myth is written magically so that it can synchronically come true as magic in your life. And I went, wow, I get it. You know, when you're reading a myth and you go, hold it, maybe this dude really had like some kind of hammer, then you've lost. Like when you try to take it literal in any way, well, maybe, look, this is rational. Maybe who is the author of the Norse myths? No one knows. Nigga, no one knows. How magical is that? What's the intent of this story? If it has no truth whatsoever, it wouldn't appeal to our subconscious, our unconscious. If it had no magic whatsoever, is what? Okay, let me tell the difference real quick. The difference is magic is astral reality. That as this slow physical reality is going on, there's a magical astral reality going on. I was shown all kinds. I've been talking over and over about my sister Sita, and how the first time I talked to her, I didn't even know for sure if it was her. I actually found out it was her from Maria. While I was talking to her, I could not hear her anymore. And it didn't matter if I had my eyes open or closed. I was seeing a scene, actually, and going into the scene. And I had my hands over my eyes. And I was in this, like, intense conversation with, like, a 7-year-old girl who had long blonde hair. And she had, like, a little hair clip that was clipping her hair out of her face. And she was so mad. And, like, we were talking, but myself now just like tuned into it, and her saying like, look at me, just you know, have the respect to look at me, and I was like, I do respect you. I hold on, like, give me a minute. It was like crazy. I'm like, what is going on? Wow, this is the first time I talked to her, like 15 minutes. Like I said, I didn't even know for sure if the little girl was her. And I had told this girl, Sita, think of a question, totally fucking secret question between just you and Maria, or anything you want to fucking know. And we're going to try to prove to you that this is real. And in the course of our long conversation, I think I brought it up a few times, like, did you think of a question? And somehow it didn't get literally answered. But while I was seeing this myself, I figured out, this was the question. This was the actual question. And this was on a Sunday, so the next ritual, the next Saturday, Maria, had all the answers for these questions I had, right? And so I'm holding my hands over my eyes, and she's going, please. And then she got a little bit emotional, and she said, please, like she was going to cry. Look at me. And then I was like, it like broke my heart. And I was like, you're beautiful, you sweet, you kind little girl. And she was mad. She was kind of mad that I said that. And she was like, I want you to look at me for one reason. And she's like, please. And I said, I'm looking at you. She's just a little girl, and I'm like a grown man. And she said, I just want to know, do I remind you of Mother? And in reality, I was laughing like this. That's funny. I'm talking to this girl for the first time in my entire life. And like 10 minutes after I'm talking to her, I see this whole thing while she's talking. She's telling me her story about having like a near-death experience and other, real experiences of hers. And while she's doing it, I start seeing this so vividly, so much that I actually, didn't hear some of what she was saying on the phone. And I am now the observer. And I've been doing this for 13 years at this point, and I kind of knew this must be my own memory. This girl is so incredibly powerful. She is fucking causing this memory right now. Because it was just completely observed by me to such a point that I would, like I said, enter into the actual memory, like in real time for moments. And I said, dude, totally this was a memory. I said, I had to tell Maria, but I told Maria this 6 days later. I said, of course you remind me of Mother. I said, but I think you're more beautiful. And it like stunned my avatar self in the Matrix to like shock me back into the conversation. I'm like, dude, what the fuck was that? Because I was also like kind of crying when I was covering my eyes. And, I was like, what the fuck was going on with that? I'm not kidding. Like 5 minutes later, I was like, man, was that this girl? That little girl? And I said to Maria, so let me just give the proper timeline. So after I seen that, I swear to the gods, I had a thought of, oh my God, what if that was that girl? And that was her question to me? I swear my first thought is that if that's true, that's like the cutest thing to me and Maria. Like anyone, like ask me anything in the world. Do I remind you of Maria? Like Maria said, Joe, only your sister would say that. And this is why she said that later. So I told you, I had like, while I'm talking to her, I'm like, dude, this is like 10 minutes into the conversation. I'm thinking this while she's talking. I go, I bet that was a memory that I just had. I go, what if Maria requires me, because she's done this several times, to tell her that? So I'm supposed to tell this fucking girl I've never known, never met, never spoke to, that 10 minutes after I talked to you, me and you I had an absolute real memory evidence, data point that Maria said that you're my sister, and that's why all of this is happening, that me and you weren't even doing it, that she was doing. That's what she said. So the next ritual, the very first thing, because check this out. It was shown later to me. I didn't even really realize this. After I said, yay West, I feel like yay West, and like I was taken to another world by Maria Orsic, standing before Yahweh, Lucifer, who is really Shiva, Big Lou, the author of all of these characters that I'm talking about. He's the author. He knows the intent. It's a story. The minute you start taking it literal is the minute you start going off of the facts and reality and starting to get into the woods, so to speak. I am not fucking kidding. Nothing. My mouth was closed. I was like, what the fuck is this big ass dude? I mean, I'm 6 foot tall. I'm standing like 5 feet from this stone throne. And I'm literally like he's sitting down with his knees bent and very sort of right at the chair came right up to where his feet were sitting right on the ground. And his knees were like up to my chest. Not bullshit. And I can't explain it. And I'm just like, Maria, I'm like freaking, I'm like tripping out. Like, Maria, how the fuck did this happen? I thought I was being tested, man. Sorry to laugh. It actually is kind of rude to laugh at yours. I can't help it. It's just, people don't believe me, but this happened to me. People like, nigger, shut the fuck up. Every week we come over here, it's something crazier. I'm like, dude, I have no choice. If you ask me, what's going on? What have you learned? Well, check this out. Last week, I was out of my fucking body, totally out of my body. Dude, I forgot I was laying in the bed in the Matrix. And I'm like, what the fuck, man? How can a dude be so big? I couldn't think of anything else at all. And there was like a bright light, like it was sitting on, like we were on, like, in some kind of temple hall, or, it was like set up like with a bright light. So he was real shadowy. And so the first thing I just seen was how big the dude was, And I also noticed he was wearing a funny hat from the get-go. I was like, is that like a green sort of Robin Hood hat? It's like a big feather. I mean, the whole thing, like, I was getting a great vibe, but I was like, man, I can't just sell out everything on a great vibe, nigger. Sorry, and people are offended by that word. I'm from St. Louis. This is a whole lifetime of, like, dispelling this word out of racism. Like, Irish people were thought of N-words by British people. Our whole message, poor white people from the city, or the close suburbs like I was, that they think that we're N-words too, man. It's like my friend said, when I came home, the last people that were going to ever rob us was someone from our neighborhood. They knew we had nothing. I never heard of anyone ever being robbed. Just as kids in our neighborhood, really, of anything substantial, I never, none of our friends ever got beat up and all their shit taken. And, I mean, it was constant weed selling. That's all we did as a kid is like, okay, who's got weed? and we live by train tracks. So all our all our herb deals. That's how stupid America always was. All our herb deals were done on the train tracks. Brilliant. The cops they couldn't just roll up on you ever. This is no lie. This is how deep this shit is with this lady. Which I tell her to her face over and over. In no way, in no emotion, no vibration do I expect you to believe this. But this is real. This is my life. I know it's more real. It's actually the astral world is more real than the holographic world. Just plain and simply. So I'm flipped out before y'all. This giant. That's what he was. That's what he is. On a throne. I couldn't really tell how he's dressed, because I couldn't see him well because there's bright light behind him. But I could tell everything was very colorful, and it felt great. I felt like there's a very upful vibe. Maria was dressed like wildly fancy, white. I was like, something's up. I had pajamas on, and a sort of pajama Shiva shirt on that Maria told me to wear in a very unordinary early visit to my house, which I later figured out, like, damn, dude, this is what's up with all this. What's happening, dude? And I could not speak. And he read my mind. The only thing I could think is, who are you? And the last thing that Maria said to me before, I swear to the gods, the last thing she said to me when she was saying, I was shaking in the ritual, and I had no reason why. I'm just vibrating with this energy. I go, Maria, what's going on? Like, why am I like this? My mind wasn't racing or anything, just my body was. Because we were dancing. Me and her were really dancing. She's like, can you see me? Can you see me? I'm like, no. And then when I finally could see her, she had her whole entire hair into 2 braids. One, going down each side of her chest, but the whole back and top and back. And I for like 10 minutes just couldn't say anything. I was just like, kept going like, your hair. Maria, your hair. And she's like, I know. I knew you'd like that. I knew you'd like this. I'm like, what's going on? Like, I never, ever seen her hair like that. And I'm like, oh my God, why are you so dressed up? And she's like, because tonight's your big night. I'm like, what? Why is it my big night? And she's like, because May the 4th was really with you. I go, May the 4th was... I go, what? Shut up. May the Force be with you. And she's like, don't you remember your second ritual started with Star Wars? She's like, that's like a comedian with a callback. I started laughing. I go, no, that was brilliant. Brilliant. And she goes, look, Joe. And I turned around. And just real quick, she had on a beautiful white dress with a big gold frill sign. And like an over jacket that was really really cool. It was kind of military stylish, but it was all white and gold. And with her mind, she was like, you see the little frill sign like on the collar? For real, she was pointing out shit on her little jacket. And she was like, I wore this for you, Joe. I was like, aw, why? I was like, why? What's going on? And it was like everything in a click changed. And I was like, Maria, what is happening? And she was like, May the 4th, really, Joe, was with you. Now it's May the 5th. I go, what? And she goes, you ever heard of the 55 Club? I go, yeah. And she goes, you're in it now. I go, I don't even know what it means, though. And she said, you said you heard of it. I go, I did, but I don't know what it means. Sorry, people who are listening. I don't mean to laugh at myself, but dude, she's like, if there was a dumb blonde man, you would be it. Airhead. And I have very dark hair, green eyes, green brown eyes. And, but I knew exactly what she meant. And she's like, that's why I love you. That's why you are who you are. So they can laugh at me. And I am just baffled. Baffled. And I'm telepathically communicating to her. Like, Maria, what's going on? Can you tell me? And she's like, pay attention. I swear. And I'm just silent. But before she was, I didn't know who it was. I did not know who it was on this throne. I had no idea this was the fairy from the backyard. That people ask me, have you ever had like an eye open, manifestation of one? Yeah. I'm not kidding. A living gnome guy from the garden with like the blue jacket and a red hat, white beard. I had this happen. This is one of the only times I had like completely baffled by reality that I was woken up by this dude and I wasn't dreaming. And I just kept saying, I must have said 100 times in the minute and a half that me and the dude was together. How is this possible? How is this possible? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? And believe it, at the heart of this is the deepest teaching that if we really want to help each other, if we really love each other, we'll go and pay whatever the price is to reflect someone's true self back to them. That's what he told me he was doing. And he said, I am the Amanita Muscari. I'm the most famous person you've ever met. I was like, I don't know if I have all the data on that, but I sure feel like you're right. I was like, damn straight, you are. That red polka dot mushroom. I mean, it's through the span of 1,000,000 years. Maybe it really is the most famous thing ever. Right? So back to the girl real quick. And I mean back to before, and I'm just trying to, show you clearly how the very first thing of my big day was this revelation. You might say, well, you are the dumb blonde, but I'm not blonde. Not at all, not even close. So the first thing that said is, Joseph, don't be afraid. I'm your friend. Matter of fact, you're my Joseph. And all I could think is, who are you? And I had not said a word yet. Who are you? Who are you? And there was a weird silence. And he said, who am I? Look at me. And I was like, yeah, what am I scared of? Because I wasn't looking at him. I was looking down at the ground, trying to concentrate on my thoughts. This was real for me, people. And it was very wild, intense, like, what is happening is for real also going on to me. After 13 years of me and Maria having a lot of fun together, it never became sex magic with her. She never did anything sexual ever in front of me before. She showed me things of her and Sig, but never with me in any way, shape, or form, ever. And everything changed after this because of this. And check this out. She did all this. This is real. If you can understand what I'm saying, this is real fucking crazy magic. So I don't really know, but I am before Lucifer Shiva, Allah Lucifer Shiva. He would later tell me and then he would go in and say, "This is my real life that I lived on Earth. My name's Lou," right? And that's why you live in the Lou. And so he's saying to me, "Joe, I'm your friend. Don't be afraid," you know. And I can't speak. All I can do is think. And all of a sudden, me and him meet on like a flashing, like telepathic level. And all I can say on this other level, I'm not even saying it with my mouth yet because it's very important. The very first word I said at my initiation, return to Venus graduation. They did this on purpose for me to have proof, or something real, something supernaturally real. It was like I was seeing him almost like White Hawk, my friend that had taught me for like 8 rituals. And I always knew he wasn't white, that he was like Indian or Asian of some kind, like a little of all. He kind of had a little bit of the Chinese eyes. And I know, Mindy, there was something Vietnamese about him, a tiny bit, and something Indian about him. It didn't matter. In my rituals where he was teaching me, he was fascinating. Matter of fact, I can't remember most of it because it was so mind-blowing, fascinating. Him taking me to people he knew and saying, "Check this out. This is my friend. He created this world mentally, and it exists on a physical plane in another dimension." And he was teaching me, this is what the dimensions mean. This is what it's... He said to me, White Hawk did, which I later learned was Alleluia Lou. He said to me, where are the dimensions, Joseph? If you're in a hologram, and by all your cellular, that there must be other worlds. Where, Joe, are those other worlds? And I literally went like, I don't know. I hear what you're saying. I was like, I clearly see what you're saying. They're not out here. And he said, so where are they? I go, do they have to be within me? This was one of the very beginnings of him teaching me for 8 weeks. And me going, dude, that's fucking crazy. And he's like, his whole thing was to teach me about why a person would want to imagine their own world and not be in the physical world ever again, forever. And I was like dead. And he's like dead. And he showed me, dude, this is where I am. It's like some kind of pyramid on Venus, actually, not on Aldebaran. Lou, he's like mummified in a way with an energy body that doesn't decay. That's what the mummies really mean. My name is Moomy, and Joe, Maria, she always says, Joe Mummy. She's like, you are a mummy. She said, you should be proud to be from the Irish line of mummies. And for real, for people that don't know, it ain't no bullshit. The original pharaohs were from the island of Ireland because they had escaped Atlantis. That's the real history. I don't debate about it. This is what Maria told me. I seen it. I can't explain my evidence, but I know that it's true. One of the very earliest pharaohs, her tomb is in Ireland, and people might say that's not real, but Maria says it's real. She said, why you think it's there, Joe? And she said, tell those fucking people that you're watching a goddamn cartoon and you're taking a cartoon literal. And I said, they might say, what are you talking about? Your life, nigga. Your life is a goddamn cartoon. Don't make any fucking sense, America. You know, and I'm just talking in general to no one in specific, you know. But check this out. Crazily, for real, it actually, because I am a dumb blonde airhead, it took me a while. It took Maria pointing this out to me for me really to, it's like my mind couldn't understand something this deep. I'm not kidding you. You know, I don't give a fuck who the fuck cares about me or anything. Like, the truth is the truth. I was so fucking blown away by this giant dude and what was happening. The depth of what first, and I didn't even say, but I'll tell you what transpired. What the depth of it was so crazy that I turned to Maria and was like, that. I said to her, all the hundreds of rituals I've been through with you, I don't know if I can believe that. And she was like, you're going to remember it. She said it's already real. I go, that's what? And this is what happened to me. I could not speak. All I could think was one thing. And like I said, my mind met his, and I said, who are you? And then I said, oh my God, I can't think of anything else because you're putting it in my mind. To the big giant dude who I didn't know was Lou. I said to him, I can think nothing else but who are you? Who are you? Because I just realized you're putting it in my mind. And he was like, I sure am. And then whew, we were back, and I was like conscious, right, standing right before, like 5 feet away from him. And like I would telepathically, you know, not in this other world, but telepathically again. It was like the third time it happened. I was like, I couldn't say anything. I could just think, who are you? I cannot be deceived. This was my exact thoughts. I cannot be deceived. Who are you? If you're good and if you're with Maria, you'll tell me who you are. And I am not kidding you. He said exactly this. Joe, May the 4th really was with you. And I went, what? And he goes, I am Ja in May. And the very first words I said were, Ja in May? Because I just repeated, because I was astounded. It was the last thing in my fucking mind I thought he was going to say. Because I had been, only thing I could think for the first minute of being around, who are you? Who are you? And I can't speak. My mouth can't move. And he says, I'm Ja in May. The very first thing I said, I didn't think it. It was beyond thought. I out of my mouth, out loud, I said, Ja in May? Like that, like, huh? And they bust out laughing. The dude on the throne, Maria standing right next to me in her her white jacket. And then I realized someone else was standing behind me a little further away to my left, dressed like Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I noticed how hard he was laughing. And I swear, like a goddamn movie, I looked at each person and went like, dude, I fucking call me the dumb blonde or whatever. I do not know what you're laughing at. And I literally, like, because I know I'm trained by Maria, I like relaxed and I was like, Maria, can you hear me? And she's like, yeah. And she's laughing. I can hear her laughing in the real time. I'm like, what are you laughing at? And she said, Joe, John May. And I go, what the fuck does that mean? in May, like May the month right now? And Dude, she was laughing so hard that it took a second for her to answer me. She said, Joe, Jamie. She said, what did you put? Okay, I got an email from this girl. Her name was Jamie. In my phone, I put me. No shit. I never talked to her ever in my life, but I just thought it was a synchronicity, very ironic. Because if me and Maria went back and forth about reggae and who is Ja, and I was a Rastafarian and all this shit, right? And it was perfect timing. And she had tried to email me, and I was so busy and so sick at the time. So the second email, when I asked Maria, should I talk to this girl? Yes. Is when I really noticed, man, dude, this girl's name is me. I'm Ja, which I'm going to get back to with Hathor. So I'm like, why are you, laughing so hard? And by the way, real quick, I want to thank Sister Sita for helping me. She's the ultimate help, And I'll tell that story later. I was going to say, believe me, for a moment, I was very embarrassed before Maria that I said someone was more beautiful than her. Because, like she said, what was happening, Joe? We were redefining beauty. You were redefining beauty. She's like, that don't mean you don't think you don't vibrate in your essence as me, as the Scorpio goddess of beauty. And that's in my houses. Scorpio is in one of my houses, and it's the beauty house. It's the teacher house. It's everything that Maria is in the Matrix. And like she said, back home, she's my moon. I'm Scorpio moon. She's Scorpio sun. I'm Scorpio moon. She's Scorpio sun. Our Leo moon. Did I say that right? She's Scorpio Leo. I'm Leo Scorpio. And the reason, I just want to say real quick before I explain the rest of this, the reason why Maria did this so elaborately is because she loves us, both of us, me and Jamie. She loves Jamie. She went on to tell me how much she loves Jamie. And how much she loved that her question was, do I remind you of Mother? She was like, let me tell you, this is when this whole thing freaked me out. This is later. I'll go to that later though. But what's crazy? They're all laughing, you remember? I said, the first word I said in this ritual, when I was given time to speak, it was like they all looked at me like, it's your turn to speak. He told you who he is. He's Ja and May. What do you have to say, Joe? I'm not kidding. Maria looked at me like, go ahead, Joe. And I really felt like, because I was the one telepathically asking the question, who are you? Joseph, my Joseph, I'm Ja and May. And the very first word I fucking said in the ceremony, which I would be told, you're going home. You don't have to suffer anymore. You don't have to repeat this life. And that might not mean much to anyone else. That's because you don't understand reality and you're not following the master teacher, Maria Orsic. Or you know that reality is an illusion. All is Maya. Only eternal true love is real. That's only, not true love or love. Only eternal true love is real to us. That's our truth. And they're laughing and laughing when I said, He said, I'm John May. And I said, Ja? Instinctually, beyond thought. I didn't think about it. Out of my mouth just came, Ja in May? Ja in May. And I was like, May 5th, the 55 Club. 5's a magic number. And I was thinking this, and they're laughing so hard. And I said, Maria, what is funny about Ja in May? And she said, Joe, we're laughing so hard because we tricked you. In that you always remember that was the very first word you spoke before the God of this world, Lucifer. And I was like, what? I did? I didn't, because I didn't realize what I did. And I was like, for real, like I already said, but I'm saying it again. Dumb blonde like Ja. And she said, Joe, the girl you're going, I am not fucking kidding. She said, the girl you're going to talk to a few hours in the morning. I go, what the fuck are you talking about? This girl from the internet that happens to be from St. Louis. I said, well, I didn't think she happened to be from St. Louis. I said, I figured that you had something to do with this, but she's like, no, I'm doing all of it. You're going to see my magic. I'm like, huh? This threw me off completely. I'm like, huh? Right? I am not kidding you. I'm like, what? And she's like, believe it. She's going to really help you. I was like, help me? How? She's like, Joe, look, pay attention to Lucifer on the throne, And he's still laughing so hard. And with his mind, he said to me, Jamie, I take full responsibility for her. I go, what? What do you mean? I go, the girl I'm supposed to talk to in the morning. Yeah. This was so crazy because I've never been before in this scene, this craziness. It was so crazy. And I've described from there a lot of what Lou said. Right? So let me take you. That was like at 4 o'clock in the morning, May 5th. So at 11 o'clock in the morning, I am supposed to talk to this girl, Jamie, who Maria's like, yeah, that's John May. And I told her that day, like, I don't think you can understand. I wouldn't expect you to be able to understand this or have any context for it. But last night they were talking to me about you. I told her the whole Ja and May thing. And I think she was rightly. This is the first time I ever talked to the person ever on earth. And I'm told this stuff before I talk to her. I don't know how to, I felt like telling her, I don't know how to tell you, but somehow, because of you, I was the center of the funniest joke of my final initiation. I remember I really did tell her that or something like that. And I remember going, huh? Or like making a sound like, that's crazy. I also remember telling her, do you know you're Ja and May? That's what Ja. But let me tell you, it came together the next ritual. So, this little portion of my initiation, the very first word I spoke was her name. And then, the initiation went on from there. The final, thing was no really big deal for these people. It was for me to know that I don't have to do this anymore, right? Went on for quite a while. It was very I learned so much forever. And so it ended at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I had made a plan, like an appointment to talk to this girl I've never talked to named Jamie after this just happened. So you would say it ended at 6 in the morning, and I really did, I think, call her like almost right at 11 or maybe a little late. And I was actually trying very hard to be on time to call her. And first of all, just very quick, right before she answered the phone, I had a totally, completely crazy supernatural thing happen that I won't even try to describe. So I'm like, what the fuck? The moment she answered the phone, I was like, what the fuck just happened right before you answered the phone? I told her. And I was like, I'm sorry. Tell me who you are. I don't even know who you are. And she, is telling me about herself, her experiences, where she grew up. And while she's telling me, as I've said before, I've seen this vision that I spoke of before, this memory. Actually, it was a memory. I was later explained. Of this little girl, like I said, do I remind you of mother? Okay? This all happened. I'm just trying to describe the timeline. So the next ritual, you could imagine, all this happened after the May 5th ritual. I talked to her on the phone. I seen these memories. And I had to wait till Saturday night to talk to Maria. And I drink my mushrooms. We're dancing in the room. And before I even lay down, I'm like, lady, who the fuck's this girl? I'm like, Maria. She's like, relax. It's all good news. It's the gospel, buddy. Son. My JoJo. She's like, just relax. And she said, I haven't seen you since next week. I'm not kidding. I haven't seen you since last week. JoJo, what happened with your sister? Because she had already said, she's your sister. I was like, who's Jamie? She's like, your sister. That night, 5-5. And I'm like, shut up. No way. She said, what happened? Because, me and her in the ritual, we talk about everything. I'm like, yeah, I'm talking to the girl you told me to talk to. I said, don't forget that. This is all a waste of time. And this person's like, he's nuts. I said, Maria, I'm going to come back to you and say, why the fuck did you have me talk to this person? That's what I was, prepared to say, because it was like a couple weeks before that to my face, I said to her, hey, listen, let me ask you straight up. Should I be talking to this Jamie girl? I really told her. Ain't no coincidence. She's from Missouri, St. Louis, right? And she's like, oh. She's like, do coincidence exist in a holographic matrix? I go, no. No, they don't. I go, all right, I'm ready for this. I'm like, check this out, lady. While I was talking to her, talking about my first time I ever talked to Jamie, I said like 10 minutes after I was talking to her, I was at times completely out of my body. And I was like, it was the vibration of her voice, the tone and shit. She's like, I know her. She's my child. I already told you that. I'm like, and she was already saying like, I love her. You should know this. I'm like, but listen. I go, dude, I told her like to come up with a question. I go 10 minutes after, come up with a question. Don't tell anybody, and I won't even mention it. If I answered it, I answered it. We don't even have to ever talk about it again. That's literally what I told her. Because you know what? God damn it. Either this is fucking real or it's not. Either this is truly either there is magic and supernatural or there's not. You got to put it to the acid test. You got to put it to the ultimate test. And I was putting it absolutely to the test. Think of a fucking question. Don't tell anybody so you know it's secret. You know I don't know. Right? I said, Maria, on another plane of existence. I said, I guess it was my memory. I actually said that to her. I said, I was peeking through my fucking fingers, afraid to look at this 7 or 8-year-old girl, this little girl. Blonde hair, the cutest, prettiest girl, little girl, like looked like she was in her Easter Sunday dress, like white dress, like so cute, but she was upset and like kind of crying, like the whole thing was super crazy emotional. I'm telling Maria this in the next ritual, 6 days later. And I say, I go, dude, it was crazy. This little girl is saying to me, I'm a grown man. Look at me. And I said, she was talking to me like she's always known me. Like, Joe, look at me. Joe, you please. And I was like, she started pleading with me. And I said, it made me very emotional, Maria. I go, I don't know what the fuck's going on. Because for 13 years, she's been training me. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. Don't be emotional. It's hard to gather data when you're emotional. And I know better. And I'm like, I am so, Maria, emotional when this is happening. 10 minutes after I'm talking to a complete stranger. And she's like, she's no stranger. And right there, I go, what the fuck? And she's like, I did this. What was her question? I go, dude, I said, I didn't completely verify it or not in the natural, but in this memory vision thing that I was in too at times. She said, I said, Maria, this is what happened. She said, look at me, look at me. And I said, finally, I opened my fingers and peeked through my fingers with one eye. And she said, yeah, it's meant to be. And I said, I could not believe, for one thing, I could tell by her voice she was very young. I said I couldn't believe she was like a little girl, like a 7-year-old girl. And she said to me, all I want to know is, do I remind you of Mother? I said, Maria, that was her question. Does she remind? Does she remind me of you, Maria? And she said, that's just like your sister. That's totally real, Joe. She's like, that's exactly what I expected you to say. I go, what? What do you mean? Like, I swear to God, I had all 13 years been shown this magic marriage. Maria made me make a vow. I would never have sex with anyone but the 2 magic wives, But I had these other things with this blonde woman that I didn't know who she was. And she was like, don't touch me. I didn't touch her. But it was very magic. It was like we were helping each other, healing each other. I said to Maria, somehow is that you? And she's, Joe, how could I bring her to you if that was me? I go, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. I was like, you weren't switching bodies with this person or something? I did not know who the fuck she was. And right there, back to the second ritual after May 5th, right there, she said to me, Joe, because I'm saying to her, she's a little girl. Why was she a little girl? And she said, do I remind you of Mother? And she said, Joe, that little girl is the same little girl who brought you the tulips and said, I'm your amour. And I like almost fainted. People would be like, why? if you knew my whole story, I was just like, my first words was like, how can this be? How could that be? And she's like, I am how that can be. I go, you're fucking wild, dude. Okay? And if I can just take her real quick, there was many other things, but the next week after that. Okay, that next week after May 5th, Maria was like, check this out. Lou's here. He was there for like 5 minutes. This was the next week, and I was crazy with energy. And he's like, I'm not going to stay here all night, but listen to this. He's like, Joe, I've come to tell you I'm going to be here every single week with Maria in your room with you. He's like, because you know why? I live in the tree, like I told you last week, which is another dimension, and I've been here the whole time. I was like, ah, what? I'm not kidding you. He's like, why do you think your granddaughter had that real experience? Out by the tree, she told you it wasn't a dream. I was like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for her. She thought she had to tell us that it was a dream because it was real. And she later told me, no, Papa, it really happened. I was like, I know, I'm so sorry. It's the worst thing you can do to a kid. I mean, I didn't tell her. Dude, she intuited from the environment like this must have been a dream, but knew her experience was, no, this was real. I was really out in the backyard, and a real fairy appeared to me and took me inside of the tree, you know? He's telling me this. Lucifer is. He's telling me, I've been here since then. That was like 5 years previous. He's like, and I have been here even before that, even before you lived here. He's like, I'm actually the god of this world, imagining things, but I'm just a man. It's technology that's helping me. He's like, this is my home, Missouri. And with his mind, he's like, you know why? I said, I don't know. He said, because of Maria. Because I love Maria. My wife loves Maria. My wife is Maria's goddess. I was like, wow. Okay, so the black-haired lady with the green eyes, who have lots of contacts, she always tells me. Because I was going to say, hold on, I've seen her with blue eyes too. This is no lie. I swear to God, she tells me, Joe, this is my world. I got lots of color She's like, I just do it. It's like costume. It's fun. I like to dress up. We dress up. Me and Maria dress. She dances with Maria on Venus in the real world. Also, this is the one and only Donna that he is speaking of. And but back to, Ja and May, Jamie. This is no lie. And people, even her, I was like, dude, it's so dramatic. I don't expect you to believe it. But this is what happened. And it no matter what, it's crazy, mind-blowing for me. And I'm telling you, I'm totally just speaking from my subjective point of view. So Maria tells me this, like, she's your amour. You love her without doubt. She was like, it don't take ceremonies. It doesn't take a magic marriage. It's your choice. At some level, it's your choice. And she's like, she's your sister. She's like, that's all. She told me all the, like, sort of jokes that I've ever made, about sexual boundaries and, like, things. She was like, that's why, because you love your sister, and it's all boundaries are being dissolved. All boundaries, Joe. I said, by love. She was like, exactly. Or nothing. Or they remain. She's like, either you vibrate like each other, or you don't. I was like, I know. It's not a choice. She was like, no. She said to me, what is it? I said, destiny. It's destiny. She said, who created that destiny? I go, dude, my true self did. She said, what are we? I said, we are eternal true love. And that's what distinguishes us from other people. Nothing else is real to us. I was trained. She was like, good boy. Good son, good son, student, friend. She's like, love her. I'm like, shut up. Love her. She's the funniest, also the funniest goddess that ever existed. So check this out. The next week, I'm trying to get to this. The next week, that next week, Maria tells me all this stuff about John May. And then the next ritual after that, and I was going to say that next ritual, and Lou tells me I'm going to start coming to the actual Maria Orsic ritual on Saturday night at 3 o'clock in the room. I'm like, yay. Good to have you, brother. And what this means is that Maria and Lou will be like meditating. Maria likes to dance, but Lou sits in the lotus position and just creating energy to help me understand, protect me, and all that kind of stuff. So the first week that Lou is fully there, obviously I'm like, something's going to happen. And listen, Lou's never, ever said a lot, but listen what he said that week. So now I have known the lady, Ja and May, for 2 weeks or 13 days. And I think we did speak again within those, and I told her the shit that I've told you about seeing her as a little child. And I'm sure, I don't know exactly what she thought or anything, but it's a crazy story. And I was so proud of her that we had a second conversation. Like the moment we connected on the phone for the second time, I in another world. I was like, lady, I'm so proud of you that you're open-minded, teachable. And she's like, you're proud of me, I'm proud of you. I'm like, why? Me and her, I'm trying to tell you, from before I talked to her, it's been a very supernatural, completely on another level, like no one else except for Maria. People are like, oh, that's because she's pretty. That really has nothing to do with it at all. And what happened is again, I'm trying to give you the truth, the, poetry of Lucifer also, in constructing it this way. So I do my ritual. I drink my mushrooms. Maria's like, look, Lou's here. Look at him. Let's hug him. Let's love him. And he's giant, dude, sitting in the lotus position. He's like up to my chin. I'm not kidding. Big, giant dude. And, we're hugging him, kissing the top of his head. I'm like, you have dreadlocks? He's like, yeah, they're clean. Because we were kissing him. He's like, yeah, not always. He's like, sometimes I get rid of the dreadlocks and just grow my hair out. He's like, I'm Shiva, Joe. Allah, Lu, Shiva. He's like, I said, I totally don't know what you mean by that, but I do too. I said, people are going to definitely hate that, and some people will like it, but I get it. And he's like, you do get it, don't you? I'm the author. I'm the author. I'm the creative, artistic author of Allah, Lucifer, and Shiva. And he's like, I'm going to tell you my practical story. I mean, they call me Lou. He's like, you want my literal name? Lou is. Lou is. And with his mind, we went into another world, and he said, Lou Isis. Lou is Isis. It's my real name. I went, whoa, you mean that you and Donna are one? Lucifer and Isis are one. You're Lou Isis. He's like, right. That's what I mean. I'm the author of these very creative things in my world, he said, but what you should take literal from me is me and that woman, that beautiful, beautiful, black-haired, blue-eyed woman. I said green-eyed earlier. It's true, though. She had green eyes the first time I seen her. I don't know what color fucking eyes. She told me I have color contacts, grandson. And man, let me tell you how beautiful she is. I mean, dude, you have no idea how beautiful. Something magic beyond magic. Donna's like the most beautiful brunette. She's like the brunette Maria, but I mean, their faces are different and shit, but they're different type of people also. Donna's a way not Scorpio. You know, she's way more Leo-ish, you know. And Lou just loves her so, like, likes how she dances, how she is. She's like me and Maria didn't never have any like real physical like we would hug each other sometimes. We didn't have a lot of physical contact. Like when I first met Donna, she was like, dance with me, grandson. She's like rubbing all over me, fucking hug, you know. She's like, it's okay, your face is in my tits. I swear. She's like, I get it. It's all right. She's like, enjoy it. It's okay. Lou don't care. She's like, they're just tits. I swear to God, she is like some super free-spirited, like Maria compared to Donna. Maria's a lot more serious out, you know, to me. And I remember Donna saying to me, hey, grandson, let me show you how beautiful and how much I love your mother, who is my daughter. They like dissolving these boundaries, you know. And I seen her go over to Maria, like pat her head, like whisper in her ear, and both of them like kiss for quite a while. For, you know, quite a while they were kissing without stopping. Truth be told, they want this truth. They're like, are you kidding? We are one. We don't give a fuck what. Like Maria said, the more you're offended, the more we know that we're one, and that who cares if you don't understand? And everyone has to be individuated in that way, you know, really, if you're our people. You know, we like to qualify it with that because it's real. And dude, I talked to this very girl, You Sita, on the phone, and I do the same thing. I want to avoid the dramatic thing that almost makes me cry. I'm sorry. Let me get to it. So the next week, after Maria tells me John Mays, Jamie, the very first thing I go, fuck, this was the second ritual after knowing her. I go, Maria, this is fucking insane. And she goes, you mean Maylin Monroe? I go, exactly. I go, she looks like Marilyn Monroe. That's what I told her. I go, or am I just seeing that? I would never say Maria looks like Marilyn Monroe. But Irene Serrano does. And Sita does. And she goes, this was the first time Lou was there, the whole ritual. She goes, I told you we were hugging him and shit. We were dancing, but when I lay down for the meditation, I met with Maria, first in the room. She likes to say, Joe, I'm really here. I'm really here. You know, we weren't just dancing. We're really fucking here now. She said, this also is a very special night. This is our first night with Lou. She's like, Joe, let me officially, like, help you relax. Like, because he was just sitting there meditating. And as soon as she said to me, relax, me and him, like, met on another plane of existence. And this is exactly what he said to me. Joe, your mother told you for the last 13 years about how she constructed dreams and gave you dreams. He said, May 5th, you were outside with your mother. I live in the tree. I heard you. He's like, I wasn't spying on you. I was just standing right there, and I was interested in your words. On May 5th, you said to Maria, can the gods be wrong? And you meant your magic marriage. Like, I'm going to die. It seems that this was all a failure. And I was saying, like, Mindy helped me the best she could. She really did. I have absolutely no complaints. I wish she was closer 24 hours a day. We're one, or at least I know we're both willing. I know I'm willing. My left-handed wife, she's beyond words. I don't know, she's to Maria to understand. Lou knew I didn't understand. And he's like, Joe, I'm going to make you understand right now why you said this. Can the gods be wrong? And he said, what did your mother say? No, the gods can't be wrong. He said, what was the purpose and intent? I said, they were given to me to eternally love because they're going to help me imagine my own world. I said, yep. It's exactly how I was told. He said, on Venus and Aldebaran, this is something official. It's called a magic marriage. He said, don't get lost in the language. He said, you didn't really choose this. Even though these two women vibrate just like you. He said, don't ever forget they're the Gemini twins that your Venus is in. He said, but Venus is love, not eternal true love. And I went, oh my God, that's what I choose. Eternal true love is higher than my astrology. And Maria said, I taught you well. This is the truth. This is why you don't check your astrology every day, Joe. And I was like, right, I feel no need. And she's like, why? And I said, I guess now I'm learning I've gone beyond astrology. And she's like, for real? And just fuck everyone that's telling you you're stupid. And I was like, right, because it's working for me. I'm happy. I really, truly am. And this was going on, And Lou said to me, he said, in this journey, your mother has revealed to you over and over that she created dreams is what a goddess does and gave you the dreams as like little myths to come true in your life to teach you. I was like, yeah, that's fucking genius. And he's like, I did it too. For you. He's like, I constructed a dream that wasn't a dream. I'm like, yeah, I never heard of this from him. It's the first time I really knew who he was and talked to him. It's the very first thing he brought up. Ever. The very first thing ever. He said, there's a thing. And he said, this is how me and Donna are married. He said, although all the other hype, the person you on an individual level choose, He said, on Venus, on Aldebaran, it's done on another invisible astral level. He said it's openly called the secret marriage. And that is why people in Venus live together who aren't in a magic marriage ordained by the gods. And like he said, I've shown you every different varieties. There's some people who are a magic marriage that have other people in their eternal marriage. It's not defined by the gods. He said to me, what did Maria say? You simply add that person to your life and they live with you. That's what really matters, is who lives in your life, in your energy field. I go, exactly. And she is like, we know loneliness. We know what loneliness means. To not have that person in your energy field. I go, that exactly. I go, Maria, that's exactly it. You want that person in your energy field. And she's like, I would come check on you and just be the observer. She's like, it's all the observer effect, Joe. Who you are when this person observes you makes you who you want to be. I was like, exactly. Exactly. She's like, I did this, right? And I'm laughing, going, you did, though. I'm freaking out. And Lou said to me, Joe, there's a real thing that exists as a magic marriage. I'm going, yeah. I totally, like a dumb blind. I didn't know what he was talking about, or who. I had no concept, really. I had these experiences, but I didn't know who it was. I more thought this, like Maria told me right to my face, she's not me, Joe. But I didn't have any other context or any other reference. I didn't know who this girl was exactly. And this is when I really started to find out. Lou said to me, your mother gave you many dreams. He was like, I gave you something that wasn't a dream. It was an actual out-of-body experience. He said it was in 2008. I go, yeah? And he goes, I gave you this dream. And all of a sudden I started remembering one of the craziest dreams I ever had in my whole life. And he was like, Lou was like narrating it. He's like, Joe, this is a real astral secret marriage, which is, and he's like, secret has a bad reference in your time. But it's actually, he said, like, think of it this way, is like too intimate to share with people who don't deserve to know about this. And I was like, I go, oh my God, like they don't deserve to know about how much two people could really love each other. Like, I just said that beyond thought. And he's like, exactly. I go, that's crazy. And he showed me this dream that I've talked about before. Okay, so when I seen the little girl, Maria told me, that little girl is the little girl that came to you and said, I'm your amore. And I said, I don't know if I stressed this enough. That was a week before. I said, Maria, that girl you have already shown me, resurrected like my spirit, my soul, my essence. And she's the reason I'm getting out of here. And she said, exactly. She's the one that's been helping you secretly the whole time, Joe. That's why you seen her as a little girl. Because you were going there to thank her and go and tell her, little girl, I couldn't do it without you. I can't do it without you. I cannot do it without you. I go, okay, so back with Lou, and he's like, I did this. I set this up. And I described this dream before, but just very quickly. I was driving out to a friend's house on Green Acres. I always forget to use that term. And the first time I talked to Jamie, she said, I had this dream. I call it the Green Acres dream. I swear to the fucking gods. A dream I had 16 years before I met her. I also call the Green Acres dream because I was driving out to record at my friend's house who lived on Green Acres Drive. And it was flooded. The Mississippi River was flooded and we couldn't get there. And like a dream, I had to take a little boat to this like commune. It was like a commune. It was exactly what I was saying is the answer to our social, practical, communal problems. That we needed small communities that vibrate, individuals that vibrate like each other so that we could be healthy. We could concentrate on food, water, purity, cleansing, all that health. Like the health of the community would be the highest priority. And I'm seeing all this in 2024, 2 weeks after meeting this girl. And I still don't know what the fuck he's talking about, honestly. And I see the dream. I'm like, oh my God, the fucking girl in this dream. But as soon as I seen the flood in the dream, I'm like, oh my God, so you're saying, and I'll tell you the dream, but right off the bat, from the second I seen the dream, I was like, you're saying that girl's Jamie. That woman is Jamie. And he's like, watch the dream. I gave you. It's not a dream. He kept stressing to me, Joe, this wasn't a dream. She was out of her body. You were out of your body. This is like another world that's more real than this one. I'm like, okay, I'm willing. Let's go. Teach me, Lou. It's the first thing he ever taught me, ever. First thing ever. Because the week before, Maria was like, Jamie's that girl. The next week, Lou was like, Jamie's that girl. And I'm just like, that is so crazy. But very quickly, what happened is, at this flood, I started to get, in real life, I didn't know I was dreaming. In 2008, I was recording at this place. And me and my friend were like, damn, dude, we got to at least, check and make sure they're okay. Now it wasn't about recording. Now it was just like, let's get to their house to make sure they're okay. We're parked at this flooded out street, and this little boat, tiny little fishing boat with a tiny little motor, is like helping people get across this little, it wasn't big at all. It's maybe like 60 feet of flooded water. And like, it don't make any sense there was a boat and shit. But this is Lou. This is the astral plane. And I didn't know. It did make sense in the dream. In the dream, it totally made sense. And when we get and we get in this boat and go to the other side to go check on our friends, we think we're checking on our friends, right? We get up their street and we're like, holy fuck, is this the wrong street? It's something completely different. It's like the Wizard of Oz, And before we even got there, we're telling these people met us right as we crossed this flood at the bottom of their street, and say their house was like 12, 14 houses up. It was a little ways up. And so there was these like young teenage kids like helping people and stuff, and they ran right over to us. They're like, oh, where do you live? And we're like, oh, we're here for our friends. Our friends live up here on Green Acres. And they literally like, oh, I don't think your friends live here anymore. And we're like, what? And we go, the guy that was with me said, this is Green Acres, right? This is Green Acres Drive. Like, we know the street. We come out here all the time. He's like, yeah, it is. And we're walking by their house, and he's like, no, he's like, those people. He's like, he's like, we know who you are. He's like, we know those people too, but you're supposed to come talk to the lady. And like the mother, the lady, and I'm like, what? And I look at my friend, what the fuck are these people talking about? Then I notice like a lot of them have dreadlocks. They're like white kids with blonde hair, but they have dreadlocks. I'm like, my very first thought was, oh, these are some like really hippie, Rasta. It was all good with us. I mean, we're literally coming out to record reggae music. But this was when I was a Christian that I had this dream, just to let people know. And when I get to this kid, I kind of get separated from my friend and this young, like 14, 15-year-old blonde kid. Uh, it's very hippie dressed. You know, it didn't bother me though. It wasn't cheesy. It was something I liked about it. It was totally different, you know, than how I was dressed in 2008 right then. But I didn't mind it. It was almost something cultish about it or something, you know what I mean? But I liked it. I liked how it looked and felt. It was like kind of Native American Indianish slash hippie slash Rasta. It's for real. And this kid in the stream, just walking up the street, this kid is like, "Hey, dude, you're Joe, right?" And I go, "Yeah." And he's like, "The lady, my mother, she's actually waiting for you." And when I'm seeing this dream with Lou, I'm like, "Is this Maria? Is this like some kind of crazy metaphoric thing, that I was gonna meet Maria?" And Malou says, "No." He said straight up to me, "No, no, it's not. Just keep watching, Joe." This is absolutely the absolute truth. The kid's like, she's really gonna like to meet you. I mean, she's been waiting to meet you. She's gonna be so excited to meet you. She's like, matter of fact, she was like ready, for you to come here. She sent me to tell you, like, be patient. It's not gonna take long at all. But she wants to like officially meet you. And they were like, this is our community, and she's kind of like made an announcement to the community, like, everyone come to the community center and, watch this little ceremony. I'm going to introduce you to my friend. And I stopped him right there and I go, I'm her friend. I go, what is her name? And he goes, you know her. And he never said the name. He was like, Mother. The lady Mother. Like, I don't remember all the things, but none of them were a regular name. They were all like titles. He's like, she's our teacher, she's very psychic and this shit. They might even have said like Sita or something I didn't even understand, you know what I mean? And I'm like, literally, this is like a, 1 minute walk that this kid is saying this before we go into this. It was a barn. It was a barn behind this house, but it was big. It was converted into like a little hall with like a kitchen and a dance floor and a place for a band to play. And I walk in this place and there's like 30, 40 people sitting in chairs and shit. And I'm like, oh, is this where you guys eat or something? He's like, no, this isn't. This is where we do ceremonies, do rituals, and initiate people. And he's like, my mom is really so excited to meet you, and she really is counting on me to like make this right. She's like, I'm like, what? I stopped him and like grabbed his arm. I go, what is going on? Like, I don't understand. How do you know me? He's like, I don't know you. He's like, my mom knows you. He's like, we all listen to her. She's very smart. For real. And I was like, this is kind of cultish, I'm thinking, like, what is, like, I don't know, I'm dreaming. I'm like, I don't understand how all of a sudden I became, like, sort of the focus of this. I'm walking up the street to my fucking friend's house, afraid that he's drowned. afraid maybe his car was washed away. I'm like, man, let's just go see if my friend's all right. And all of a sudden, I'm in a barn with 40 fucking people, and I'm smelling weed. I'm like, that's good. I don't feel at all bothered or danger because everyone's real super nice and there's weed. And the kid actually said to me, I know my mother said you love weed. We got plenty of weed, you know, and we got coffee. And me and my friend walking up this street with these people are like, dude, coffee and weed, fuck, we're in. We're like, if Gabe ain't home, Gabe and Nina ain't home, then we're in. Because we're walking right by our friend's house. We walk right past, we're like, dude, they're fine. Their house is fine. No water even near it. And this kid's like, oh, and this won't take long. He's like, my mother has everything under control, everything organized. And all of a sudden, I'm standing, and it's like dark barn, but there's lights on the dance floor, and there's like another um, back room, like kitchen doorway, and I start walking just automatically. I start walking to sort of the center, following this kid, and he stops. He goes, "Oh shit, I didn't know you didn't understand." He's like, "I told you, you stay here in the doorway, like right where we came in." He's like, "Please just stand right there in the doorway. When you see my mother come under that light in the other doorway, like directly across from me, it was like on each side of the dance floor." That's why I said, like, I just started walking to the dance floor. I didn't know where I was or what was going on. And he's like, just stay here. And when you see her, start to come out walking towards you, then you walk towards her. And like a dumb blonde, I somehow I forgot this, and so I see this lady up here, and I'm like, and like people attending to her, and like in this fancy dress with musical notes on it. I'm not kidding. A white dress with black musical notes. It was one of the coolest dresses ever. And I could see that from where I was. I was like, well, this lady definitely super cool to have a dress like that already. That's awesome. I was thinking. And when I seen her, I just started walking towards her. And I was almost to like the middle of the dance floor, and she was in the entrance. And the teenage kid ran over to me and said, "Dude, no, wait till she walks out, to walk out." And I'm like, "Oh shit, I forgot you told me that." So I went back to the doorway, and I see, swear to the gods, I this is way before I started the ritual or knew Maria. I was looking, I was trying to see, man, I guess I know this lady, this girl, because I could see from where I was how young she was, like early 20s. And my first thought, it's funny, because my first thought I ever seen Maria was also, wow, look at her hair. I was like, wow, now that's some long hair. That's wild. I was like, I really like this girl. For real, I'm back in the thing, and I'm like, okay, so the kid said to meet her. As she walks out, I walk out. So she starts walking out, and I'm like, and she's literally kind of got like a headdress on. Not a veil over her face, but her hair was like on her chest and all out. Her hair was all out long. I was really long, like to her waist. And, she was dressed like sort of a ritual. Like she had like a sort of headdress on with her hair in it. In this black and white dress with musical notes on it, like I said. and she was carrying this tray and the dress, and she looked like I was just in jeans and a t-shirt. She was like, my first thought was like, oh my God, like what is really going on? Like this is something very serious to this girl. Like why is she doing this for me? Like I'm no one knows. I don't know her. No one knows me. Why would she be being so not? And I didn't know. So I see her coming. It's like a lights. It wasn't completely dark, but there was like brighter lights on the dance floor where the kid was like, meet her in the middle under those lights. And they started playing some like music. And it was like reggae. And I was like, I like this. This is all good. And so I'm like, here she comes. And I meet her, and she's carrying this tray. It's like a little fancy wooden tray with two plates on it. One with like perfect, beautiful green buds of marijuana, and another plate with a very clean, nice glass pipe and a lighter. And I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we smiled. I go, you do know me? Who I didn't. I straight up looked at her face. And my first thought was, I don't know you. And my second thought, but I like you because you must know me because you brought me exactly what I want. And she like winked at me. She actually winked at me, and I was like, oh, we're telepathically communicating. For real. And I just started going, oh my God, in the dream. This is in 2008. And she started talking. And when she started talking, going, Joe, I do know you. And I was like, oh my God, you just proved it. This is the funniest. I was like, you're so original. You're so smart. I didn't know who I was even talking to. And as I was saying all that, my mind met hers. And I was like, who are you though? What the fuck is going on? I started like freaking out, and my body started separating from the dream, and she was like laughing, going, "This is so funny how it happened." And I bring you a little tray of weed. I was like, "You're the most original girl ever." I kept saying to her, "You're the most original girl." I was like, "You thought of this is so great." Right? And I'm seeing this with Lou, this dream I had, and I like woke up because I was freaking out so hard on this girl. Who are you? I was screaming it internally so loud it woke me up in 2008. In 2024, like May 29th, May 29th, Lou says to me, I did that for you, Joe. That's the secret marriage. And that's the same girl. I said, what? What? Even the week before of Maria being like, she's that little girl. Couldn't really process it. I'm like, how am I supposed to process that? I was like, Maria said to me that night, like data, you're going to take the data and you're supposed to say, well, my teacher showed me that I have a eternal true love that I could not remember on a different level than magic and the gods. Like she said to me, this is you and your sister, and what I taught you, at one point you have to go against the gods. She said, this is it. I was like, oh my God. I said, so me and her did that. And Lou was like, right, you did in 2008. I go, no. That's so crazy. It then checked us out. Lou said to me, you still don't get it, do you? I go, I guess not. I mean, my mind was being blown so hard I could not think at all. And Lou said to me, ask your mother. She'll remind you. I go, ask her what? I swear to the gods. He said, ask your mother about the greatest night of your life. And Maria was like, don't you remember that? She said, little boy, son, Joseph, you don't remember that for 2 years, every goddamn for 50 rituals, I said, ask me anything you want to know. And before I said no, you said, a memory of someone I knew before I came here. Show me who I knew before I came here. And she said, do you remember this? This was in like 2017, 2018. I don't remember. I think it was 2017. Do you remember this? She said, I'm going to give you that dream. I'm going to give you that memory. That after all those times, I stopped asking. And I just started saying, just Maria, teach me whatever. I mean, because I was embarrassed. And she said, like, be patient, be patient, be patient. I swear to the gods, like 3 years went by. This is absolute truth. I talked about this before, but I'm just tying it all together like they did. This was the greatest night of my life. Call me that, crazy or shallow, whatever. But after like 3 years, and like she said, after asking her 50 times in a row, literally, now I'm not, no exaggeration, asking her 50 times in a row, you said, ask me anything. How about, could you tell me someone right now in my life that I knew before I came here in case I'm missing it, missing somebody? And, you said anything. And this is no lie. This is exactly how it happened. It was definitely in November. It was after, right, or, a little while after Maria's birthday. It was in the sign of Scorpio that this happened. Absolutely. Because Maria was like, I don't like this word, but, just so you know, I've been stressing to you, I'm the Scorpio goddess of death. You know what is the polarity of death? She's like, come on, Joe, say it. I was like, no, I'm not, because I don't know. You would think life, right? What's the opposite of death? And she said, Joe, you're an illusion. The opposite of death is sex. I said, what? And she said, when you lose your libido, you die. I go, yeah, I get it. She goes, check this out. You asked me all those, she said, and I said, be patient. She said, I did better. I swear to you. She was standing there, and she was kind of dressed up rather nicely with her hair done up, pinned up and shit into like a really pretty, but some of it down. For real. She was standing. She was talking to me. We were out of our bodies. I was standing there, and she was like, I knew I had to wait. She said, but Joe, I did better than give you a memory of someone you knew before you came here. And this is what Lucifer was asking me. What about the greatest night of your life? Because this is how it became known that. And I don't want to be crude. I hope it don't sound crude to people. It's a lot different than someone might make from my very quick telling it. But this is the first time anything like this ever happened to me. Because this person was clearly not one of my ordained wives in this thing. Clearly. I didn't know who it was. And she said to me, I did better. I brought someone you knew before you came here, but I went and got her out of her bed while she's sleeping. This is really happening in real time. She was like, Joe, let me tell you, I swear to the gods, this is what Maria said to me. She said, let me tell you, this is the most important thing ever to you, because this girl, you're going to realize she saved your life. And she's your best friend ever. I was so happy. Like when she said that, I was like, that so clears things up. That so answers the question of like, what is missing? Something huge is missing. And she's like, she's it. It's a her. And when she was saying this, I was like, she was standing the whole time, like a little ways away. But we were in some kind of room, and kind of in the shadow, like not me and Maria were like in some part of this room with a light on, clearly talking. And I knew, like right as Maria was talking, I was like, hold it, this must be the person she's talking about. Was standing like 10 or 15 feet away. And I couldn't tell what she was wearing or anything like that. But Maria said to me, I did better. I went and got her out of her bed. And this is her true astral self, Joe. She's waited also a long time to see you. Like she's your best friend, right? And, she was like walking towards me while she was saying this. Maria was. And like when I got close enough, she had all this blonde hair completely pulled over her face. And my first thought, and she was dressed like this. She had black heels on and black stockings, like lingerie. Like thigh-high stockings and like, fancy sort of, tight, like even like, I guess they're garter belts or something. It wasn't lewd and like something sort of covering that, but very, very short. Very short. And it was like very sexy, but very beautiful. And it did have almost like a wholesome, pure tinge to it, but it also was like super sexual, like in her mind, my mind was like, this is what I've waited for. And she was walking towards me and she was like, Joe, you know me. And I was like, do I? I swear I didn't know. I've described this before. I don't mean to just go over shit, but I just want to stress how this was all explained to me. This was the same person. And I've described before how we had a conversation, and like I said, when she said, like, I'm dressed like this for you, and all of a sudden I realized, like, her whole everything that she was wearing, and she like a night, short night dress thing under, and like a sort of robe, like sexy robe though over that also. And at first she had her whole self covered, and then she like let the robe, open, and was like, I want you to look at me. And I all of a sudden I noticed everything she was wearing was black and like almost like a neon green. Almost like a Marvel Comics superhero kind of lightning bolt. And it was lightning bolts, right? And when our minds met, the important thing is this. It was the greatest night of my life. And I almost feel like it's no one's really business of like how much we love each other. But she was saying that. And I was beyond thought. And I was like, I don't even really know. And she was completely covering her face with her hair when she was saying this. It was making me laugh, like, I'm supposed to tell someone. They're my eternal true love without seeing their face. It was funny, and she was literally like a regular real person. She was like, I know, but it has to be like this. I just feel like I'm supposed to cover my face. I can't look. It was crazy because I started with I can't look at you, covering my face with my hands, and she was covering her face with her hair. And she really did say to me, like, I can't look at you yet, and I don't want you to look at me yet. I was like, okay, it's fine. I swear to God, she was like, look at my body. I want you to look at my body. And I told you, I said to her, the little girl, you're more beautiful than mother. And again, it just like came out of my mouth. Like, oh my God, you're the cutest physical person to me. And I know people might be like, that's pretty shallow, but it also is instinct, a real memory, instinct, memory, a muscle instinct of visual memory of like this triggered like a memory, a muscle memory, how her body looked without looking at her fucking face. And it was like a pause, and she's like, no, what do you really think? I was like, you know what I think. You're perfect. You're perfect. And just like Maria, she's like, what about the clothes? I'm like, I was so stunned. Like I said, I ran to touch her. And like just to hug her, not to, just to hug her and be like, who are you? Like you're so beautiful. Who are you? And when I got, like I said, she was like 5, 10 feet away. When I got close, she's like, no, Joe, no, don't touch me. Don't touch me. And I stopped and I was like, why? What do you mean don't touch me? And she's like, because of Joey and Mindy. She's like, because you know what? Do not touch me. Like, it's all mental. She's like, look at me, smell me, do anything, but don't touch me. You can't touch me. She's like, we have to say one day, you never touched me. And she was like, come with me, follow me, but don't touch me. And we were in some kind of room, like bedroom, and there was a bed. And she was like, we could be comfortable on the bed, but it's not supposed to be. She's like, we're to lay down on the floor. And all we need is each other. We don't need a mattress. Like, I liked her a whole lot. Like, just from the beginning of, like, I was really like, it's such a pleasure for a real woman to, like, lead. Like, she was leading everything. She's like, Joe, lay down. And I lay down. She's like, I'm going to lay next to you, but don't touch me. She's like, not with your foot, nothing. I said, I promise I will not try to touch you. She said, matter of fact, if it's completely by accident, that's okay. She said, it's all about intent and motive. I was like, I'm fine. And for real, like in like 3 seconds, she's like, Joe, breathe with me and meet me. We can dream together. And I was like, oh my God, I believe it. And within a like flashy minute, me and her were completely in another world. Again, like another world from this world. And she was like, we could touch each other here. But now I want to prove that we don't have to. She was like, you could say I'm crazy, but she's like, we know each other far deeper than you could ever imagine. I was like, we do? She said, you earlier said I saved your life. I go, I don't even know how, but you did. She said, I really did. And she said, you know why? She said, I swear to you, without touching each other, we can give each other orgasms. And I go, I really did think, that's so Maria of you. That's so very Maria of you. And she was like, listen, we're on the astral plane of Earth. do you know what I want? I said, no, I don't. And she said, I want to know what really pleases you. All boundaries dissolved, any fantasy, and all I could think of is what I just seen you look like in this lingerie. And she like opened we were laying on the floor. She like opened her little robe and shit, like little sticking her legs up. And she's like, "These legs, you mean?" I'm like, "Yes, exactly." And she's like, "These feet and these shoes." And I'm like, "Yeah, exactly." And she's like, "It's okay. Go ahead and come." And I'm just trying to tell people this was supernatural. I'm not going to tell all the details because it's kind of not appropriate, really, because it's really between me and her. But it's important to say, like, it was supernatural in that I had like 3 real orgasms in like a half hour or something incredible, crazy. She literally said to me, "I'm going back to my body soon. Like, what do you want to see?" And also, I want to say, because a woman is it's a true matriarchy nature. Nature is a matriarchy, and that's a lion saying this. But she had an incredible, you might say, kundalini power to raise my energy, right? But quickly, she's like, "Now I want you to raise mine." And I did know this woman. And I said, you have to tell me what you like exactly. And she did, and she had her own orgasm, which I told her, I'm not playing. That was the most beautiful thing that ever happened in all of history. And she laughed, and she's like, "Stop being dramatic." I'm like, "No, I'm going to touch you. If I have to touch you to make you understand." I said, "I'm not kidding you." After it was all over, like I said before, we each had 3. And Maria, she said, "Joe, did I say this was going to be the greatest night of your life?" And I said, "That was an underestimate." I said, "What?" I said, "Maria, how fucking long is it going to take me to understand this, right?" This was all when it happened. But let me take you to May 29, 2025. Lou said, "The same girl. She's the same girl. The girl, she's Ja in May."
Hail, my sister, feel the breeze of time, floating deep in dreams, where dimensions rhyme. Your essence sparkles like the stars above. In every heartbeat, I can feel your love. Your spirit guides my way, with power from the earth to sway. Your essence makes us free in every song we sing. With the Ozark room, let the healing begin. In a dance of light, where spirits flutter by, we lift our hearts together like eagles in the sky. Supernatural journeys through the cosmic night, channeling the strength, illuminating light. The whispered tales of our bonds, so divine. 20 years in a dream, forever intertwined. Warriors with wisdom deep and true. Your essence makes us free in every song we sing. With the Ozark room, let the healing begin. In a dance of light, where spirits flutter by, We lift our hearts together like eagles in the sky. So bless this moment, let the rhythms flow. Dear sister, let your essence glow.